Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with the 7th video in the series of Bobby Fischer's perfect 11 out of 11 when he won all his games in the 1963-1964 US Championships. Fischer took part 8 times in the US Championships and he won them all. With that he's the joint record holder with Samuel Reshevsky. As you can see, Fischer already won at the age of 14. And his last win was from the 1966-67 tournament. But what jumps out is the one there in red in the 63-64 tournament with the 11 out of 11 when he finished 3.5 points ahead of number 2. This is the table from that tournament in round 6. In the previous video we saw Fischer beat Robert Steinmeier in only 17 moves. In round 7 his opponent was William Bill Addison, who finished the tournament in joint 9th place with 3.5 out of 11, scoring 2 wins and 3 draws. You can find the earlier videos in the playlist, which I will put up at the end of this video and also up here. But let's now look at this game between Addison with the white pieces and Fischer on the black side. It is the 26th of December 1963. The tournament broke for a few days for the Christmas holiday celebrations. And the day after Christmas Day it was time for round 7. William Addison played e2, e4. William Grady Addison, born on November 28, 1933 in Louisiana. He passed away on October 29, 2008 in San Francisco. He was an international master. He became international master in 1967, so after this game was played. He played in the US Championship of 62-63, 63-64, 65, 66 and 69, so 5 times. He took 2nd place with 7.5 points out of 11 games behind Reshevsky in the 1969 US Championship and qualified that way for the 1970 Interzonal at Palma de Mallorca, where he finished in 18th place with 9 points out of 23 games. His opponent in this game, Bobby Fischer, also played in that Interzonal, and he won it with 18.5 out of 23 games, twice as many points as Addison. Addison represented the US in the Olympiads of 1964 and 1966, when he picked up a silver medal for the team performance. In this game, Fischer answered e4 with e5, knight f3, knight c6, we have a Ruy Lopez, a6, bishop a4, and now the main moves are knight f6. The second most popular option is d6, but Fischer plays the third most popular option, which is b5, kicking that bishop straight away. Bishop b3, and now again knight f6 is the main move here, but Fischer goes after that bishop straight away with knight a5. Castling is the most popular move here, but as we'll see, white is delaying castling for 9 more moves and black is delaying castling even longer. d4 was played in this position by Addison. Fischer took, queen takes, and now you can take on b3 straight away. That was played before, but Fischer played a new move, knight e7. In 1963 this was a new move. All 7 games that are in my database, black took on b3 straight away. Knight e7 is an interesting move. It's more flexible than the move knight f6. It also ensures that that knight on f6 cannot be kicked with e4, e5. Addison played c3. Now white threatens to escape with the bishop, so Fischer captured it and gains the bishop pair. A takes and bishop b7 on the long diagonal. Bishop f4 and d5. Fischer is getting a foothold in the center. e5 and c5, gaining space on the queen side because that pawn cannot be taken. If you take it, queen takes c5, then you can here put the video on pause, look for yourself what is the refutation of queen takes c5. Why did Addison not take that pawn? Indeed, it is knight f5, which is attacking the queen, and it turns out that queen is trapped. It has no squares. We can counterattack black's queen with bishop g5, but then black just wins a piece. This way. So after c5 the queen has to retreat. Queen d3 was played and knight g6 hitting the bishop. That's unprotected. So the bishop dropped back to g3 and Fischer played bishop e7. Knight bd2 developing, and I found when I was preparing for this game an interesting article from Grandmaster Daniel King in his column in the Guardian newspaper in the UK. King writes, "The transition from opening to middle game is a difficult phase of the game. Once you've chosen a plan, it's hard to backtrack if things don't work out. Castling here on the 14th move is the obvious move, and black does not stand badly. But then what? Advancing the d-pawn allows a knight to e4. This way. And advancing the c-pawn cedes control over the d4 square. If you play up the c-pawn, you give this square away, is what Daniel King means. Breaking with f6 could be considered. This move, but then that would open up the bishop on g3. So what to do? Fischer chose a different plan. He did not play castling, he did not play c4 or d4 or f6, he played the knight back to f8. What is that? Daniel King writes, "Instead Fischer recognized that his king was safe in the middle of the board and maneuvered his knight to e6. Because here white castled and the knight went to e6. Blockading the e-pawn and so cutting white's bishop, this one, out of the game. With the center secure, a flank advance was possible," writes Grandmaster King. Interesting to hear a Grandmaster explain this position. Nice maneuver from Fischer. Knight f8 to e6. Rook a d1 was played by Addison, centralizing the rook. And here comes that flank attack from Fischer. g5, h3 and h5. Daniel King writes, "With a tremendous attack, white cannot find counterplay as his knights have no decent squares." Rook fe1 was played by Addison. Fischer played queen b6. Knight back to f1 and d4, opening up the long diagonal for the bishop. Knight 3 to d2 was played by Addison. He's maneuvering around his knights. g4 and h4. Addison is not allowing Bobby to open up lines against his king. And queen c6 with a little mate threat on g2. Here knight e4 is a better move according to the engine. Addison played his queen to e4. But it's understandable that Addison wants to get the queens off the board to calm down the storm of Fischer's attack. So queen e4 was played, and here on the 22nd move, Fischer castled queenside. The queens were swapped, and c4 from white. Here, many players would have played king b7 to protect that weak a-pawn. But Fischer goes the other way, he goes to d7. He sees that his king will play an important role in this position, by later coming to e6. Rook a1, attacking the weak a6 pawn, and Fischer played rook a8. Even super grandmasters sometimes have to play passively to protect a weak pawn. Knight e4, that knight was taken, rook takes, and knight g7, another regrouping of the knight. Fischer has his eyes on the weak h-pawn. Knight d2, knight f5, attacking that h-pawn now with two pieces. It's only defended by the bishop. Rook f4. If the knight leaves, then f7 is hanging. King e6. Yes, the king is much more useful on e6 than it would have been on b7. It's protecting the knight and it's protecting the f-pawn. Knight e4. Counter-attacking the c5 pawn, so black does not have time to take on h4. This would be a big mistake. Knight takes h4 because of bishop takes, and knight takes c5 check. King takes e5 and g3, and things have completely turned around. White's pieces are better than black's, and black's king is vulnerable in the center. So after knight e4, Fischer did not take on h4, he took on c4 instead. B takes and rook h to b8. Fischer has been concentrating his attack on the king side up to now, but is now smoothly switching his activities to the queen side, attacking the weak b-pawn. It was a viewer, Damo Hansen, who said in the comments on a previous game in this series that Fischer's games just flow so beautifully, and this is another example. Wonderful play from the future world champion. Addison defended that weak pawn with rook a2, not a great move to make, and rook b4, attacking another weakness on c4. White has too many weaknesses in his camp. c4, b2 and h4 are all weak pawns. He played knight d2 to protect the c4 pawn, but now Fischer took on h4. Bishop takes, rook e4 and bishop g5, attacking that defender of the c4 pawn. So Addison played f4, attacking the bishop. That pawn was taken en passant. Knight takes and bishop e3 check. The bishop was attacked on g5, so with a tempo, Fischer brings his bishop to safety. And after king h2, the pawn on c4 is hanging and Fischer took it. And here White resigned. He's 2 pawns down and has no compensation for them whatsoever. There's no counterplay, so instead of continuing the suffering, Bill Addison decided to call it a day, and Fischer had raked up another win and was now on 7 wins out of 7 games. In round 8, Raymond Weinstein was waiting for him, and that is what the next video is about. I hope you liked this video and that you like the series on Bobby Fischer's perfect tournament. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, and please leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter and on Facebook. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.